Hello, everybody. This is Kyrix with another episode of This Week in Kyrix. Oh God, that's gonna fuck with me. Give me just a second here. Sorry about this. Basically, XSplit's doing something where it keeps resizing itself, and it's in a word, distracting. This is for the week of March 7th, 2018. It is being recorded on the 10th of 2018. I actually have good reasons for this. Okay, so, naturally I'm allegedly going to record these on Wednesday. The kitten has actually been really sick this week. I was concerned for his continued existence sick. Now, it wasn't so much that he was displaying really bad condition, as he just absolutely wasn't himself, and that's not a thing that cats really do. Cats don't act that out of character, as a rule. So, this came about because of his flea pill that he got. I don't know if he was the wrong size for it, or if, because the roommate says he's the right weight. I have my doubts, but then again, I also don't know how weight establishes, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? I can't gauge weight accurately. So anyway, he had been lethargic. He got the pill on the 3rd, which I want to say was a Saturday. No, he got it on the 2nd. That's right. He got the 2nd, so it was a Friday. Around, I want to say Monday, my friend came over, which was cool. We played 7 Days to Die. We fixed my bike, kind of. I'll get into that in a minute. And we did some other stuff. And I happened to notice the kitten was sleeping a lot, as in all the time. If he wasn't... See, here's the thing. He is a kitten. He is active. He is alert. He is gregarious. He loves people. And that whole weekend, he could give two shits. If you call his name, he just lays there. Sometimes if you touch him, he just lays there. And that was horrifically out of character. And I kept telling the roommate, I'm like, dude, he needs to go to the vet. He needs to be looked at. This is not normal. Take it from a guy who's had almost a dozen cats in his life. You know, I've had a lot of fucking cats. I've had half a dozen cats. That's what it was. I've had half a dozen cats. 4 of them at the same time. You know? And I've been around more cats. I used to work in the fucking cat room. I know how specific cats, are supposed to react. And when they're that out of character, something is wrong. And he kept putting it off, and I finally told him, like, look, dude, here's the deal. If you pay for his wellness plan, which would be about $80 to start up with, because he thought it would be like hundreds of dollars. I'm like, no, dude. You pay the $40 or whatever starter fee, and you pay $25 a month. Well, now it's $30 a month, but I didn't know that at the time. And I'm like, if you give me the money for him, I will take him on a bus tomorrow to the vet. And this was Tuesday. And he wouldn't give me a definitive answer. He said, I'll tell you in the morning what I decide. And by Wednesday morning, he had recovered. But I specifically did not want to record This Week in Kyrix until he'd been to the vet or recovered, because I didn't want, say, Tuesday night to record, oh, here's what happened, blah, 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 and then go on next week and say, oh my god, guys, the kitten died the day after, you know? Because to me, that was a very real concern, because he was on the mend, but those of you who've been with me for a long time will remember my episodes of This Week in Kyrix when Kisa was deathly ill, and how I kept talking about, oh god, he's doing so much better. I got food at him. The vet has high hopes. We gave him some antibiotics, etc. And then the next week was, oh my god, he fucking died. He just died out of nowhere. Literally out of nowhere. You know, I heard him crying. And I'm thankful that I didn't just ignore it. That I didn't just keep playing my game. That I checked on him. Because otherwise he would have died in that fucking carrier alone instead of being held by people who loved him. But I've done like 6 videos on Kisa. That's not the time for this. So now he's fine. He's back to his rambunctious self. He follows me around. He begs for food. He cuddles. He steals the heater. Because yeah, it's winter-y in Florida again. It's starting to get cold. So I break out the space heater that I got back from my uncle. And I put it in the living room. And then I stepped on him because he is jet black and the lights are off. And he was crouched right in front of that heater. He wanted that thing. Which further convinces me that if he's not full-blooded, he's got some Bombay in him. Because that was the thing Kisa used to do all the goddamn time, was steal the heater. And be under covers, and be near people, and all the shit that this kitten is doing. So, give me just a second, I'm going to bring up a little cheat sheet here. I have actually already written the description for this week. Discuss the sick kitten. Let's talk. I got the rest of my Pokemon cards this week. I got the 2 big ones, the Lunala and the Dawnwings Necrozma. I keep wanting to call it Duskwing, but it's Dawnwings Necrozma card, which is the Necrozma with Lunala duo. And then I went to League, and my buddy there had a bunch of cards to give me, because we talked about it, and he had some that would save me some money. Not a lot of money. It saved me like $6, which doesn't sound like much until you realize that was literally a fifth of what the deck would have cost me otherwise. And then I was really hoping they would come in the mail that day so I could play at League, but they didn't. But they were here when I got home, and I built my deck, and I kept coming up with 62 cards. For those who don't know, Pokemon is a 60-card deck. And I finally went through, I booted up the Pokemon online, was looking at the deck I used, because that's what I did, I bought the deck I used. And he had substituted a couple cards for me. He asked for us, of course. There's a card, Tierno, which generally, rival trainers are draw 3 cards. Like, Tierno does it, How does it, Sharon does it. And my deck called for 4 Tiernos. He's like, does it have to be Tierno, or could it be one of the other ones? I'm like, well, I just did it because this is the current standard League thing that's legal, whereas the Sharon wasn't. He's like, well, I can throw some of these in there, and he threw in 2 more. I think it was like 5 or 4 cards or whatever, but he threw in extras of that particular card, and that was throwing my count off, because I forgot he did that. So I basically said, hey, I got my deck here, I got all this, if you want, you can take those 2 extras back. He's like, sure, so I'll probably give them back to him next week. This week's League will be a Hoenn tournament, actually. I have been working on it, but the problem is, because I've been organizing these tournaments with the rule of no Mega and no Primal, that kind of fucks me, because nearly every Hoenn Pokemon I currently own is a Mega or a Primal. So what I'm probably just going to do is breed the one that I'm working on, or rather finish the one that I bred now, and then just take the Mega Stones off my team, that kind of shit. And just, because right now it's a pain in my ass, and I don't want to deal with it. Last week, actually, I got it in my head that I wanted to play with Hoopa. So I looked at my Hoopa and realized, I at first panicked thinking that I'd picked completely the wrong nature for him, like the exact opposite of what he needed. And then I realized that I had picked that nature with him being in his Unbound form in mind. So I literally spent that entire morning and about 10-15 minutes of League maxing him out and getting him ready to battle, and he was in every battle I had that day. And he did pretty good. I've been talking to one of the kids there. He's got a problem. He's got a fucking trade addiction. And this really came to a head, because every week we hear about him making shitty trades, or trying to, and we keep telling him, dude, don't do that. And I mentioned, hey, I'm training Hoopa. And it's like, oh, I had Hoopa, but I traded him for Shiny Rayquaza. And I swear to God, if it wouldn't have gotten me thrown out of the library or arrested right fucking there, I'd have slapped him right on the mouth for that. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? I didn't say that. Not that we don't cuss there, because a lot of us do, because most of us are, you know, late teens-ish, you know. But, shit, some of the kids do it too. But I'm like, what would possess you to make that trade? Like, well, it was shiny. I'm like, Rayquaza isn't shiny locked. You can soft reset and get a shiny one. Hoopa, you cannot fucking get a new Hoopa. If I tried right now, I doubt I could get a Hoopa. Much less a good one, you know? Because in Japan, it's not that big a deal. In Japan, they re-release the Mythicals all the fucking time. I actually looked it up. There's been one American release of Hoopa. I'm going to say 2 or 3 years ago. God damn it. Where did it crash? Nowhere that matters. I just want to point out, I've always thought disasters were something that didn't trigger automatically, but that's 2 plane crashes. But yeah, we had... Actually, I can look up when Hoopa was. The year, at least. Give me Omega Rubies. Right. Really, that long ago? Well, okay then. It says Omega Ruby came out in 2014. I was in the apartment when Hoopa was distributed, because I distinctly remember being in McDonald's, because we didn't have internet. So I'm going to say 2015, 2016 was Hoopa's release. And they've had like 3 to 5 of them in Japan. And there is... I cannot shout bullshit loud enough to convey how pissed that makes me. We're not in the fucking Gen 1 through 5 days where you had to go to a physical place to get these things. Where you had to bring your Game Boy or Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance and link cables into a fucking Target or Toys R Us or GameStop and manually trade with a Nintendo representative to get these things. We're not even talking the DS era where you had to go to GameStop and again trade in the thing and put your code in or whatever the fuck you did to get like Entei and whatnot. We're talking Gen 6 and post-Gen 6 with worldwide distribution where Japan gets the game the same fucking day the rest of us get the game. Because that's the thing. Gen 6 started that. Gen 6 was the time when Japan said, you know what? The internet exists all over the world, and people are getting sick of having a game a year after we have the game. So we're going to get the game all on the same day. Because in America, for the other games, like, oh, here's this game, you know, here's everything about this game because Japan's already had it for a year and figured out all the secrets. You know what I mean? Like, I knew so much shit about gold and silver long before gold and silver ever hit American shores. And this was pre-internet. I mean, the internet existed back then, but it didn't exist back then. It wasn't the thing where I can go to almost any friend's house and they have internet. My friend doesn't even own a fucking computer, and he has wireless internet. You know? That's a thing. He has it for Netflix and his phone and a couple other things, but he doesn't even own a computer anymore. So, I mean, you can have an expectation. I can get on the bus, go to McDonald's, go to Walmart, and a couple other places and have free Wi-Fi. That's the world we live in. And Japan finally realized that the world lives in that world. And they're like, you know, we should make it a point to let the world know that, hey, we're going to let everybody have Pokemon at the same time now. Just want to see a thing here. It's legitimately not going to let me look. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a thing I shouldn't do. I'm going to save. Okay. And we're going to bulldoze this. Actually, we're going to bulldoze this. Do I have enough? I do. Okay. We're going to hit pause. Okay, we're gonna go with the figures. Then we're gonna hit pause, apparently. And we're gonna save again because I just got paid. Why not? Okay, cool. So we're gonna... Did I pause? I did pause, okay. We're going to bulldoze this. Yes, yes we are. And we're gonna put in a new power plant and see if it looks the same. It does. So, that means I already put the nuke plant up, so we're gonna load. But anyway, so yeah, and when they did this, Japan also decided that, hey, we're going to have this great system where we're actually distributing legendaries and mythicals and shit all over the world. Not at the same time Japan gets them, but for the first time, we're getting shit legally. Well, maybe not the first time, but when you consider that we've had one legal Jirachi to Japan's like 20 of them, they literally release them all every year over there. And sometimes more frequently than that. And look, I understand if Japan wants to have 5 giveaways of Jirachi, for example. Can we have one, please? One? One more than we've already had? I mean, I know leading up to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire we had every mythical in the game. But we're on a new generation of games now, the Alola region. And we're on the second game of Gen 7. We're on our Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for Gen 7. And I know, for a fact, Japan has had at least half of those mythicals released again. They're actually doing the legendaries here, the opposite version exclusives. Oh, shit, I got it. I'm a dumb... Yeah, they're releasing the opposite exclusives now. Like, if you get this on Ultra Sun, now you can download it for Ultra Sun. The other one, I mean. But here's the thing. Legendaries aren't that big a deal to get. If you own X and Y, for example, you can get Mewtwo. You can get the legendary birds. They're trickier, but you can. If you own Red, Blue, or Yellow on the Virtual Console, you can get Mewtwo and the legendary birds. If you own Omega Ruby and or Alpha Sapphire, you can get the rest of the legendaries. If you own Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and you don't have the trouble with the Ultra Wormhole that I fucking have, which is a lot, by the way, you can get every goddamn legendary in the game between those two games. And I can understand that they're like, oh, maybe this American doesn't have this game or a friend who has this game. Maybe this American would really like Palkia and all they can catch is Dialga. And I absolutely appreciate and respect that. Because I've been that kid. If I didn't have League, let's put it this way, there's a reason I own both versions of every game that's been released since Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. It's so that I never have to go through the issue of, I have this, I want that. It really is that simple. But you can catch those, especially if you... Because Pokemon Leagues are starting to get easier to find. We keep getting new people every other week, you know? GTS is a thing. You can trade for shit. Because not everyone's a collector like me. Not everyone catches Palkia and says, oh, I've got Palkia now. Some people catch Palkia and think, ooh, I'd really like a Zekrom. And they trade that Palkia for a Zekrom. Or at least they offer to. That kind of shit. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But Mythicals? Here's the thing. Those Cherish Ball Mythicals, at least for me, will not trade. I've tried to put them on the GTS and they will not go. I was like, nope, this is special Pokemon, can't be traded over the GTS. Like, really, dude? I can trade it in person, but not over the net? You know? So, getting a hold of a Hoopa is goddamn impossible, much less one with the correct nature. And when I got Jirachi, I kind of botched the nature I gave that Jirachi. So my Jirachi's butt, You know? I need a better Arceus. I need a couple mythicals better than what I have. I could use another Hoopa. I missed Volcanion entirely. I didn't even know it was released until, the year after it was released. And I have multiple sources that could have told me that, and all of them fucking failed. So I for one would appreciate a Volcanion release, so that I can have my personal Volcanion that's the nature I want it to be and train it up in battle with it. I'd love that. I'd love to have a second Hoopa, so that I have a Hoopa in prison and a Hoopa unbound. I'd love a new Diancie. I'd love two Diancies. One for Mega, one for Not, because I like to do that. Because sometimes the Mega build is completely different, like in the case of Salamence. Salamence is a different build from Mega Salamence. Because Mega Salamence, you can teach him Return, and that becomes a flying type move. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my city is doing kind of nice. I'm rather pleased with it. It looks like, if I'm reading this right, and I guarantee I'm not, but if I am, then I could use some more residentials. Boop. Boop. Sorry, trees, but progress must happen. Yeah, this is gonna irritate the fuck out of me. But, yeah, I mean, I would love to have these mythicals so that I can, play some fucking mythicals. It'd be nice, Just would. And, on top of that, like I said, the legendary releases are nice. The mythicals will be better. And there are a couple that I would appreciate that are catchable. Like, I would, it's like, oh, here's Tornadus and Thunderous. I'm like, how about Landorus? Here's Zekrom and Reshiram. How about Kyurem? I would like some of those. Because again, for those who don't realize, I'm trying to build a battle dex of every version of everything. So I have Kyurem, I have Kyurem White, I have Kyurem Black. I have Landorus, and I have Landorus Therian, that kind of shit. Which means I need multiple versions of everything, and I need them nature-locked. And honestly, I'm thinking that Gen 7 will start to introduce a system that can renature Pokemon. We're getting there. I mean, we had bottle caps to change IVs. For those of us who had Zygarde, finally. For those who don't know, if you place a certain number of parks, you will get large parks, which are basically playgrounds and such. But anyway, yeah, you can use those as a, what was I even talking about? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have the bottle cap, so it strikes me as very weird that we don't already have something that can do nature. With Zygarde, you can toss a Zygarde into, effectively, a meat grinder, and just keep pulling it out until you get the Zygarde you want, And come June, if it's a GameStop release like we think it's going to be, because we don't know, we honestly don't, but if it is, then I'm going to have a ton of shiny Zygardes. I'm going to have, at least 2, possibly 3, because I'm kind of up in the air whether the Zygarde 50 that has the 100% cells is a separate entity from the Zygarde 50 that doesn't, because they're both Zygarde 50s until you take 50% of your damage. Then one transforms and the other doesn't. So really, it just comes down to an ability that allows you to do shit. So I'm kind of up in the air on that. But yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of goddamn Zygardes, and that's awesome. But yeah, that's just a thing. You know, it's kind of funny how years ago doing what I'm doing right now would have seemed an impossible grind that I just couldn't handle, and now it's really nothing to me. You know? Probably because of what I've been doing all week. Which segues into the next thing. I bought a ton of games this month, because there's Large Park number 2. Basically, my mother was able to help me out with things this month, which meant I had money that I normally don't. So, here's a little secret. I don't know how to deal with money. I really don't. It's not that I'm necessarily bad with money, it's that I panic when I have a lot of it, because I don't. I don't, as a rule, have money at all. What tends to happen is, at any given time, we're gonna absolutely have an amusement park. We can get the casino later, I believe, but right now, amusement park is the thing. So anyway, normally, a good month for me is I have $25 in the bank around the 15th of the month. You know? Ooh, the lurberry. I like lurberries. So, generally, you can tell... And I say around the 15th of the month because, you know, it's common for me to have that around like the 5th or the 10th, the 5th. Yeah, early in the month, it's common for me to have that kind of money. Earlier this month, I still had $100+ in the bank, and I kept spending it on shit and still had a ton of money, and it was panicking me because normally when I have that much money, when I'm factoring shit in, it means I missed something somewhere. It means that somewhere there's a payment that I forgot to calculate, and it's going to bite me in the ass later that week. But here's the thing. I'm looking at my bank account and seeing all the deductions and matching them to the shit that's on my word processor. Because I lost my spreadsheet. That makes me sad, by the way, but we'll get into that later. And I'm sitting here still with $100, and it's blowing my goddamn mind. So I got a lot of games. There was a Square Enix sale, which naturally included a lot of Final Fantasy games. This is on Steam, and I don't think it's still going on. I think it ended. But for reasons I don't understand, it also included all the Tomb Raider games and all the Legacy of Kain games, minus Blood Omen. I think what happened is that Square Enix must have bought out Eidos, which is the only thing that makes sense. I never heard about it, but then again, I don't follow corporate gaming news. I don't even follow gaming news that much anymore. There was a time when you couldn't slip something like that past me. I'd have known. Just don't give a shit anymore, you know? Company's gonna company. So I bought Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy IV The After Years, Final Fantasy VI, and Final Fantasy III. I would have bought 1 and 2 if they had been available. I thought about buying 7 and 8, but I have them on the PlayStation, and quite frankly, I fucking hate those games. I would have bought 9, but I already own it. I would have bought 10 and 10 too, but I already own them. And anything above that, I don't think my computer could handle, otherwise I'd have bought 12 and so on. In addition, because, keep in mind, all these Final Fantasies are like $8 at this point. That's not a bad deal. In addition, all 4 Legacy of Kain games, and I started with Blood Omen 2, and then it occurred to me, because that was the one I saw, then it occurred to me to just search Legacy of Kain, and behold, there were the other ones. 97 cents each, so you bet I snapped those fuckers up. Likewise, the Tomb Raider games, all under $1. And I may be doing some experimenting later. God, who the fuck is flying these things? Or rather, not flying them. Who the fuck hired Launchpad McQuack? I haven't seen the new DuckTales. I don't know if he's in it, or if he is in it, if he's accurate. But for those old school people, you know Launchpad. You know that man has no business behind the wheel of a plane. Or the stick, rather. Which is kind of funny because he's actually a brilliant pilot. He just can't land worth a damn. I think that actually came up a couple times. His catchphrase was, or his motto was literally, "If it has wings, I can crash it." Which he says with fucking pride in his voice, by the way. So anyway, I may in the near future be doing some experimentation to see if my computer can both run and record the Tomb Raider series. Because I bought fucking everything. I have 8 to 9 games. I say 8 to 9 because one of them I believe is just a remake of the first game, but I have like the old school pre-reboot Lara Croft shit. I've got it all. If I get a job, and I got a couple applications out there, things could happen. I've got one in Circle K right now. I'm going to be putting some for Wendy's, a couple other places. I'm feeling around, trying to get some money. When I get a new computer, those things are all definitely going to be Let's Plays. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, that's another thing I bought. I also bought a Chikorita plushie, which should be here this week at the earliest, though I don't count on it. Should actually be here the day after next week's Twig is supposed to go up at the earliest. But again, it's coming from China. I don't expect it in March. I expect it early April. But you never know. See, I bought a bunch of new games. Speaking of new games, there is a new Let's Play on the horizon. I've still got to finish Shadow of the Colossus. I got to work up the courage to dive back into that. I got to do more Phantom Pain because I'm doing side ops right now. But as you know, I have a PlayStation Plus membership, and I get freebie games all the time. And by all the time, I mean once a month. Well, this month is a game that I've actually been wanting for a while, but never really had the means or desire to actually put out for. Mighty Number 9 will be a Let's Play that I will be doing. And I'm actually going to have to cut this short pretty soon. I got things to attend to. But one last thing, and I love how I've described this. It is the last thing in the description, and Kyrix becomes Lord Beerus. Lord Beerus is a character in Dragon Ball Super, and of course the movie. He is the Destroyer God. And this refers to what sets him off, both in the movie and the series, because he's got a short temper and he's got a food fetish. Basically, he shows up to Bulma's party, he's looking for the Super Saiyan God, and he gets sidetracked by all the food. And Majin Buu has pudding and will not share. And Vegeta grabs one of the pudding from him, gives it to Lord Beerus. Trunks and Goten fuck up and knock it over, and it spills into the grass. Which honestly makes me wonder why Whis didn't rewind time so that Beerus wouldn't drop the pudding or something like that. Because I know why. They didn't think up that thing until Frieza, but he could have done that, spared everyone a lot of fucking grief. And by the time he turns around, Boo's eaten the rest of the pudding, so he can't get more. I'm playing Final Fantasy IV, and I'm trying to get all the side shit. Like, I got the Cockatrice summon, I'm working on Goblin soon. There's also Bomb and Mind Flare, which are a bitch to get. But the real thing, and this is, keep in mind that the Steam version is identical to the DS version, which I've done a Let's Play of. The Rainbow Pudding. I have literally spent 3 days grinding for this goddamn thing and still don't have it. And me becoming Lord Beerus refers to me killing thousands of enemies, hundreds at least, over pudding. And we're actually going to call it here because I gotta go. So, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.